You might remember that Technitool sent me some products to review. They asked me what I'd like to look at, and I don't want to be greedy, so I did not ask for the new Orion lathe, although sometime in the future I'd be willing to look at that too. But they sent me a maintenance kit for my Supernova 2 chucks, sent me faceplate ring, and they sent me this 10-in-1 workshop gauge. And I've done reviews on all of these, and they told me they were going to send me a bonus, maybe because I wasn't being greedy. And they sent me this. Now, if you can read, you can tell that it's the G3 chuck bundle. And it includes the G3 chuck. And let's see what else is in here. All right, instructions. I used to just throw stuff like that in the garbage, and then my wife would find them when I was having trouble, so I don't do that anymore. All right, here we've got the chuck. Now this is the smaller brother of the Supernova 2 that I have, also a real good chuck. It's got a set of the 2-inch standard jaws. It's got the chuck key, all in a very nice package. There's a woodworm screw here, I believe. Yes, it is. And it's got coal jaws, the 10-inch coal jaws. We'll get into what all of these things do in case you don't know. There are some, what are these? Oh, some of the buttons you put on here to hold bowls when you want to reverse chuck them so you can finish off the bottom of a bowl. These will work. And another kind of buttons for that. These are the screws for holding the jaws onto the chuck. And a selection of screws and a hex key for holding these different buttons on. There are a couple of different kinds in here. These larger ones that I use on my coal jaws already, I quite like. Some of these straight buttons. These are a little different type. This is a beautiful kit. Oh, even some more screws in here of some kind. Well, I think that covers it. So now let's take a look at just how to use all of these things. And we'll start with the chuck. I'll put the jaws on here. They're numbered, so you make sure you get them on the right the right holder, jaw holder. It's not the right term, but I forget what it is. So let me put this together and we'll take a look at how this chuck works. All right, let's start with the chuck. Now, first thing we want to do is match up the number on the back of the jaws, pardon me, the bottom of the jaws with the number on the outside of the jaw slide. Look that up in the instructions. Good thing I kept those, right? Okay, so I've got number 4 here. Just set it on its right spot. Take 2 of these screws to hold them down. I won't tighten these up until I've got all 4 of them on. Now, also included is a small grub screw. And I don't know if this is going to show up on that camera above me, but there's a spot right there for that grub screw to go in. And the purpose of that is to tighten it against your spindle threads so that this won't spin, especially if you put it into reverse. This could come off. Now, so as not to damage those threads, there's a little fiber dot here, I don't know what else to call it, that you set in there, and then the grub screw will push that against the threads of the spindle instead of metal to metal, which could damage them. All right, I'm going to put the rest of these slides on, jaws on the slides, and then I'll meet you over at the lathe. One of the first things I want to mention about this chuck is that it is a direct thread. In other words, it does not need an insert if you have a 1 inch by 8 threads per inch spindle. In my case, with a 1 1/4 inch by 8 threads per inch, I need to use an adapter. So the female end is 1 1/4 inch, the male end is 1 inch. And now I can put that on here, lock the spindle, and I can tighten this up. And now I'm going to use a 3mm hex key to tighten that little grub screw in there. You'll notice I'm using a T-handle wrench. I have them. I don't see any reason not to use them. Now, I do not have these jaws tightened on there. The reason for that is I want to bring them in to make sure that they close perfectly in the circle, and then I will tighten all of these screws up. Now I think probably the easiest way to demonstrate this whole bundle is to just turn a small bowl. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the woodworm screw in. Get it into place so it's ready to go. I've got this 5.5 inch diameter block of wood. I drilled a 5/16 inch hole. I've put it on before just to make sure it goes on here right. And I just want to put it on until the flat surface on the headstock side is tight up all the way around on those jaws. All right, so that is ready to go. All right, I have marked a 2 1/4 inch diameter circle here that I will put the foot on, and I'm going to start just shaping this bowl a little bit first thing. Now, I'm not trying to make a beautiful bowl here. That's not the point of this exercise. I have put a dovetail foot on here because these jaws require a dovetail foot. Now, let me just finish shaping this a little to make sure it's round here for the coal jaws. All right, now I'm going to reverse this into the chuck and then turn the inside of the bowl. Anytime you're putting a foot into jaws, you want to make sure that the depth of the foot is shallower than what the jaws are. You do not want the bottom of the foot on the bottom of the jaws. You want the flat area around it on the surface of the jaws. I can put this in here now. Tighten these up. And we're ready to go. All right, my intention with this turning is to show off the chuck and its accessories, not the bowl. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to put the cold jaws on to the chuck and then show you how to reverse this. The cold jaws are not numbered, so you just want to make sure you've got them lined up properly. Get that little flange into the slider and put the bolts in to hold them. Now again, I'm not going to put these in real tight. I want to be able to tighten the entire chuck, make sure that they're all lined up properly. So I'm leaving them a little loose. I'll get the rest of these put on and I'll be right back. All right, I've got the cold jaws on. Now I just want to bring them all in until they're touching. And I can tighten these screws. And if you can read this clearly, it says a maximum RPM of 600. Now what I want to do is I'll get the buttons that are going to go on here and show you how to put the bowl in. This kit comes with 3 different buttons you can use, 3 different profiles. This one, you have to put one of these screws through, and then it will be held in one of these sets of holes wherever you want. This particular one has a screw already as part of it, so you can just take it, put it where you want, screw it on. And this is the third one. This is my favorite. It's got 2 sides that are convex if you want to use them on the inside of a bowl. If your bowl happens to have an undercut lip, you can put those in there. On the outside of a bowl, like this one, you can use this type. These 2 sides have the concave cut. Now, the bowl I'm using is 5.5 inches in diameter. Half of that is 2 3/4. So what I do is measure from the very center, find the 2 3/4 mark, which is 2, 4, 5 from the center, and then put them on in those spots. And I'll put all 8 on there. And I turn it, in this case, so the larger of those 2 concave spots will be on there. And I hope it shows up all right. It's going to hold it there. I'll get these 8 on and I'll be right back. All right, I have these 8 buttons on here, and as you can see, they are not real tight. I want to be able to adjust them. So now I'm going to open this up until the bowl slides in past them. Okay, and now I have left the center marked, so I can bring the tailstock up, put the center of the live center into it, hold it against there. Now when I tighten this up, it'll bring all the buttons in evenly. And the reason I didn't tighten them is because if they're turned off just a little bit, I can turn them now so that they're facing in there correctly and tighten them up. All right, I like to make it nice and snug. And I will tighten all of these up. All right. Now, because of the shape of these buttons, they kind of wrap around the bowl a little bit. So it's like a dovetail. You don't have to worry about it slipping out of there. And it's running nice and true. So now I can take the foot off of there. Now that was turning at just 500 RPM. Now if I was making this for myself, I would now bring up a small 15/16 inch Forstner bit and create a recess for my logo coin in there. While it's in here, I could make rings if I wanted to, decorative rings, do my sanding on the bottom. Of course, while it was in the foot, I would have sanded the outside and the inside of the bowl. I have to tell you, I really enjoyed reviewing this chuck. I want to thank Technitool for sending it to me. This is not a sponsored video. They're not paying me to do this, but I just really enjoyed checking this out. And I can't tell you how much I like it. I mean, there's nothing that I consider negative about this. It's a great chuck. The coal jars are great. Everything in here that you could possibly need to get going, especially if you're a new turner. And if you were to buy this chuck separately from the coal jars, it would be a lot more expensive than buying this package. It's a great deal. So if you know somebody who might be interested in this, feel free to share the video. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed doing this. And I hope you'll come back next time. Between now and then, have a great day in your shop and be safe. Don't forget to subscribe. And I do hope you'll come back next time. Take care now.